My name is Link Sweetrock with BME Associates. With me tonight as well as Jim Barbado with Pridemark Homes. We were here before you in December to talk about the project on the Shank property here. At that meeting, we reviewed the design and the layouts, and we took everybody's input, and we did some plan revisions and provided written responses to comments that we received, and we got the variance that night on the 12/17 meeting. So tonight we're here to discuss requesting overall preliminary site subdivision plan approvals. Since the last meeting, we had provided you written responses to comments we received from the Monroe County Planning Department, Monroe County Department of Health, Monroe County DOT. We also got comments from the Superintendent of Public Works, the DES, and the New York State Department of Transportation. Those were the comments. We provided written responses, and we can certainly answer any questions on those specifically, but I think I'll focus in on the planning comments that we talked about with the board last time. So one of the things regarding the sidewalks, they talked about sidewalks. We did review the proximity of any existing sidewalks in the area. There's no sidewalks along State Road currently, and there's no sidewalks in the vicinity of the property on 250. We did look at it, and then but we are proposing sidewalks on one side of the road through the entire development and out to both roads to provide sidewalk connectivity in the development. Excuse me. We revised, one of the comments was the lighting. We revised the lighting and the lighting plan to the LED fixtures. We also provided a traffic analysis that we had a traffic engineer do that I don't think the board had last time, that we wanted to make sure we got in your hands this time. We added the sanitary sewer easement that was requested to the south to the town of Penfield, so to provide access for the future for the sanitary. We also revised the phasing, which we had discussed before about the clubhouse being constructed earlier on in construction of the community center. So we did revise the phasing on the plan to include the community center. It's not in section 1, but it's in section 2, so it'll be done earlier on in the project to be available earlier on for residents. We also added parking. Guest parking through the project. We added, and I tried to highlight them on this, we added, based on the variance that you granted, the board had asked for additional guest parking through the project, so we added additional parking throughout the project based on, to make sure we have some additional parking for guests and things as they come up. So these additional few parking were added to the plan. We did revise we did review the entrance locations and how they line up with the properties across there, so that it's this is lining up with a driveway across, and this roadway is coming out right about on a property line in between two houses on State Road. And then we also did a visualization of the sort of 180-foot units off of State Road, which I have now. I can pass those out. We basically are just showing what the unit looks like from 180 foot away, which is how far these units would be off of State Road. So we did, and then we did try to address, like I said, the DPW comments we received and all the other comments that we received. I also provided written responses to one of the neighbors who had raised some questions about some things. So I provided just some written responses to that and some additional info on why we did what we did regarding laying out the driveways with a distance apart to make sure that we're meeting fire code, and sort of the need for the second access onto 250, on access onto 250 and onto State. And I can pass out that elevation showing what it looks like from 180 foot to the border, put that up as well. think with that, I mean, Jim and I are here and happy to answer any questions, so.
Any direct questions? And I'm sorry, was it Lynn or Link or?
Lincoln.
Link, I'm sorry, thank you.
Link or Lincoln, yep.
Any direct questions anyone wants to ask?
Well, I don't think that you mentioned number 5, which was a big concern about the trees. You wanted to say that to the public.
The trees, that was on that letter?
Yes, you answered it on number 5.
Oh, sorry, I must have missed that one.
No, in your response to the planning board comments,
Which one was the comment? I'm sorry.
it's maintain trees around property lines for screening.
Right, we have tried to, maintain them where we can, along the south property line and some along, basically we'll be supplementing landscaping. We added some landscaping along State Road and some additional along 250, and we're trying to maintain some of the hedgerow to the south.
Can I ask you a question about the landscaping?
Please.
I mean, it's your.
No.
When the trees are mature, because I looked at the landscaping plan, about how tall would they get, the ones along State Road?
I'd have to look at what they are, but 40, 50 feet probably at maturity, depending on what species they are. But the landscape plan has all of the exact trees and species called out that we're planting there, and we have to do all kinds of the correct things with not putting invasive species and things and like that
It's
too.
gonna be okay with the salt and everything?
Right, exactly. So that's why we pick out a specific type of tree.
Yeah.
And will responsibility then for maintaining those that get close to the road and or otherwise, that would fall to?
I would say,
Most of the
I'm
trees
guessing you're
are on,
not putting them in the state right away.
most of the trees are on the HOA property,
Yeah.
so they'd be maintained by the HOA.
That was the right answer, thank you. Other questions? While Michael's thinking of one, let me ask one. If I read your updated drawings properly, we added 1 5-stall, or it could be 6, not sure, somewhere up there, yeah.
Here.
1 5-stall, and then a series of tubes all the way around.
Mm-hmm.
I counted a total, if I count that right, 18 or 19?
Sounds about right. Before it's good. It's probably on the site.
That's all right, trust me, it's 18 or 19.
It's 18 or 19, right?
Okay.
And that's what we're anticipating based on what he's seeing in his existing now, is that you don't really have a lot of need for the guest parking with the community center parking lot. And because if they're gonna have an event, they're gonna use the community center. We've provided, overfill for what we think might be
Okay.
the most.
And the reason I brought it up is I was the one who asked about parking. I thought that it was a little short. I think the additional 18 look a little short to me. Do I have hard technical data to base that on? Nope. But if I look at the one that's in the northeast corner, right, we got something like 12 units there. And God help us if anybody has an event down in that area at the same time as somebody else, because it won't be sufficient. And if we think they're gonna walk all the way up to that 5 unit up there, that's not gonna happen. They're gonna start parking on the road.
Well, I might recommend that we land bank them. I don't know if this board's used that term before, but we show them on the plan and we approve them. And therefore, if they need to build them because they're seeing overflow, they have the approvals to build them. But I don't, in these days and age, we're trying not to minimize building additional impervious unless we need to. And if you build a parking lot that sits there empty for ever and ever, it's just, I understand your concern, but I would say, do we build them all, or do we show, 5 there, and then once they get up and operating, if we're seeing spilling around, then you can build the rest of them. We're gonna have 4 phases, so. Just a thought, we've been doing that to try to minimize, putting all the pavement in up front, and then it's just sitting there as impervious that never
What would be the
gets used.
determination then to put them in at a later date? Help me with the mechanics of that. Would that be the homeowners association says, hey,
Probably, yeah,
and then they would have to put the bill for it then?
right.
Yeah.
Or we're building section 1 and you're seeing it happening, before we come in to do section 2, we build them as part of section 2, or.
Will, how would those be, if we're deeding over the roads to the village, right? So the village is responsible for snow removal. Would they turn their truck and go in there and try and clear it out, or would they come along the outside edge and pile it up? In other words, would they go right along the road?
Probably
Would they
HOA,
actually go
right?
in these 2-spotters?
Are you talking about the village?
Yeah.
No, we do just, only the roads would be dedicated, not the parking spaces.
We typically have a contractor do all the driveways, and if we had supplemental parking, a contractor would do the parking as well as part of the driveways,
Okay.
not the village. And just, we have a lot of experience with this type of layout. Obviously, we're right down the road with Arbor Creek, but we've done many communities like this. And if I thought there was gonna be a problem in the future with lack of parking, I'd want to include it. But like Link said, we just don't see that high of a demand for extra parking. So we've added it to it because the board had it as a concern. If we do want a land bank for future spaces and future use, we're happy to. But I just don't want to put in parking, like Link said, to make a parking lot out of front yards. That's not necessary.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Thanks.
Michael, did you come up with one?
Oh, I got several.
Okay.
So, actually, well, my questions are sort of towards you. Has staff, or I'd say you or Jake, have any concerns with plowing and capacity and all that good stuff?
No, we would just have to change our schedule, how we run the plow route, but other than that, it would take another half hour at tops.
And then, like, sewer capacity, I'm assuming?
Yep, that was all, actually, Jake spoke ad nauseam at length regarding
Okay,
sewer capacity and requiring calculations.
okay,
We did a full analysis in the engineer's report.
all right. And then, I guess, one last, has the fire department looked at this?
I gave it to the fire marshal, and he gives it to the fire department. And if you're thinking of turn radiuses, we're good.
Okay,
Yeah, because they would look at it from the perspective of the largest truck they have, which would be the
Exactly.
aerial.
right. No, I just want to make sure they looked at it and if they had any comments or concerns, so.
Well, and that brought me to the second part of that. As we talked last time, and it wasn't clear to me, we talked a little bit, I thought, about in phase 1, and I can't remember who brought it up, but somebody said, finish the road all the way through and all the way around. You were gonna stop until you got to that point where you were building to make the road up.
Yeah, it's just not feasible cost-wise. He's gonna have to, he's gonna build section 1, he's gonna, it's not gonna complete the road, but he's gonna complete all the way to that road, so section 2, the road will get completed.
So, does the fire department know that? Because here's what I'm saying,
Yeah.
they're gonna pull in, and they're gonna pull in frontwards. They get up to the end, if they have to go to that last house, now they gotta back out.
Well, we've got T turnarounds in the end that meet the fire code, so that they can turn around at the end and go back out.
It typically, as soon as you start hitting the wood frame construction, you have to have a solid enough surface for the fire apparatus or emergency vehicles to be able to navigate through the project. So, and that's actually in our code.
So the T-turn at the end is fine for them?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, it's
They're
actually
good
in the
with
fire
that,
code.
all right.
Yeah, and that would be a temporary thing until, the road is completed. Yeah.
And section 2 includes completing this road and the connection out to 250. So then you'd have the loop all the way around. Loop here and loop out to state to 250. So that was the sort of the changes we made in the phasing.
Other question. What's a natural buffer to be tiered east?
Just leave it.
Just leave it.
Just leave, well, don't mow it all the way down, leave it
Oh,
up a
okay.
little higher, because if it's mowed right to it, the geese just. So what we've been doing in other developments is just mow that one, just mow around it every other time, or raise your deck up around it and leave it just a little higher around it, and then the geese, they don't, they'll go somewhere else, but.
What happens, Carl, is if you allow the natural growth to come up, the cattails, they will grow. The geese instinctively think there's predators in there, and so they won't go in.
All right, that's a good answer.
Just don't sell the project as waterfront property. They did that at another project and it didn't work out.
Link, I guess it comes down to the wooded lot. Do you have any idea what kind of woods, trees they are? I mean, is it mostly
There's a lot-
ash, is it a mix, is it?
There's a lot of poplar.
Okay.
We've actually looked at it because we know there's a large woods there. And we actually looked at it, are there valuable logs or hardwood trees in there?
Right.
And there's really not much of value, it's primarily poplar.
Okay,
That's been cut down so many times.
right.
Yeah, going back through like the wetland mapping and historical mapping, I mean, it's just really just growth and brush that's grown up over some time. So.
Thank you.
Other question?
You know, within the development, you've got road like B and C. How many different street names are there gonna be in the complex? Can you-
Well, I think we'll probably try to do two. We'll probably just try to do this one as road name, and then maybe this is one road. The reason I broke it up into three is because more for engineering, because I got road profiles showing design on each one, so you can read which one, but I think we're gonna just try to make it two road names for addresses
There'll be
purposes.
Just two names?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I was concerned with, identification of, for emergency calls, how many different streets are they gonna have to,
And we'll have to submit some names to 911 to get them approved.
I know you get the names, are you gonna get two names approved, or is there gonna be more than two?
I think we're gonna start with two unless someone tells us we have to get three, because this is all one road, and then I think we're just gonna treat this this little stub as part of this road. That would be our intent. I think less would be more, just have, for people to be able to find it and identify this as the road.
They already have names, Bill. It's Road A, B, and C.
Kind of catchy, I
I
think.
think there's gonna be a prototype in Real County, or probably somebody's already used that.
I've seen it get filed before as Road A, B, and C.
Or County Road 23.
Yeah. I do have one more question, and this is probably for the PRC, for the construction meeting, but we'll probably have to sit down and talk about, time, as far as, what time the work starts, but also traffic travel.
Sure.
How we kind of like make sure everybody follows the same route.
Yep.
We ran into some problems with projects in the past, so I just want to make sure we sit down. I'm just saying it for the public too, so that, yeah, right, Pat, so that, we make sure that we're keeping, the
Yeah.
disturbance as little as possible.
Yep.
Don't suppose that you can get the trash haulers to start a little later, do you, can you?
I've threatened them.
If there are no more questions, you guys hang around, don't go anyplace.
Yeah, we'll
And
just.
sure, I do one final question, just my part. If this was approved, and if you moved ahead, when are you ready for occupancy in phase one?
If we move ahead, that we'd be doing development work, you know, through the summer into the early fall and starting construction late summer, early fall on the first buildings, most likely. Occupancy spring of next year.